Welcome to our session, Our Lives with Water. And today's guest is Benjamin Lewin. Benjamin, welcome. And I'm really curious to talk about your connection with ocean, art, and science. And yeah, could you please introduce yourself and how you are actually linked with these three subjects?
Thank you for having me. Actually, I've been wanting to be a marine biologist since I was like 6. I never became a marine biologist, but I am involved with the ocean and with research, just from both a scientific and an artistic perspective. I became a diver at 12. I used to live on Curacao before moving into Europe, in both the Netherlands and Italy, um, where I got to know the North Sea and the Venetian Lagoon specifically. Um, and from there, I went through environmental science and earth science into environmental humanities, and always with a connection to the ocean.
And at the moment, is there also an art perspective you're bringing into your work?
Yeah, so I used to be just someone who did art on the side. And then at a certain point, when I started studying really ecology, I realized that I needed a more artistic part in my work as well. And that's how I became part of Oceanography's Collective, where I'm working with people who are true artists and we're working on creating routes where we invite artists to take the time to get to know the ocean and get to know the people at sea and create works based on these experiences.
And could you, because this is super interesting on this collective approach as well, could you tell a bit more about how did collective emerge and where it's actually sort of spread around?
Yeah, so it started as a conversation between friends and colleagues. It's a great team. I'm with Nuria Bofarou and Irene Soler, the co-directors. And then together with us, there's still Adrienne Capello, Sandra Martinez, Letizia Artioli, who have joined the team from the start. Um, and we all have our different expertises. Some are really artists, some are in more kind of practical communication roles. Um, there's an architect, there's an anthropologist. So we're all very kind of different, but we all have a need to connect our own kind of expertise to art. And we were very concerned with the ocean because it's just crisis after crisis, really, sadly. And then most of us also have from childhood a connection with the ocean as well, as I feel like most people on Earth probably do. And it arose from there.
I'm curious to even dig a bit more into this how the conversation started more, but maybe because I know that there's a running expedition in link with this collective. Is that true? And what this expedition is about?
Yes, so right now en route from Venice to Rotterdam, there's Nuria, as well as two artists, Laura and Fermin, who are going boat by boat. All of the vessels are already en route. So we're taking a cargo ship, we're taking a cruise ship, we're taking ferries that already have their plans for sailing in this region. And we made the route just by linking these up. And along the way, there will be the conversations with the people on board, especially those working at sea, so those who spend a lot of their life at sea, as well as in tandem, a kind of visual exploration by the artist and a scientific exploration that Nuria kind of does the on-the-ground work for, that was developed by Letizia and I.
I think it's a super creative approach of yeah, not having as a separate route or so, but using what is actually there. I also was wondering more about this onboarding in this collective, and is there also a way people can get in touch or yeah, follow the work or initiate, or how is that taking shape?
I mean, we're always available to contact. We have kind of gathered because we already knew each other and we're really in conversation created the collective. So none of us could have done so independently, kind of thing. But we're very excited to work together with people, especially the artists will always keep changing. We're still looking at how we want to shape um, kind of how we select the artists that fit for with which route and how interests align. And also we want to include more different experts, so maybe journalists, maybe more scientists. So we're still looking at how we want to do this, but we're very excited to work together with people and always available for that.
Super. Now I'm going to definitely follow up on also how the expedition is taking shape, and I assume there's also going to be other additions. But talking about, because you also talked about the art and science, and what is your own take in respect of these? Yeah, how you view them? Are you viewing them separately or are two together? Or yeah, what is your take when we talk about art and science?
I think it's in many cases a very artificial separation. I think there's all the different disciplines tend to be human curiosity to the world and uh, a kind of drive to be a part of world building that is not only human, also more than human. And uh, I don't think that art science is about trying to force two very separated disciplines to behave well together. I think instead it's about looking at the questions that you have, the curiosities that you have, the kind of blank gaps that exist, and approaching them, and without beforehand putting yourself into a limitation of which discipline you're using.
Yeah, thanks for also spotlighting the notion of curiosity. I think that is the true connector with everything we talk about. Just before we end, I also wanted to ask about your own inspiration in the artworks. And you yourself, you said you are doing artworks yourself, but I wonder about these inspirations in the nature and, yeah, or a certain artist which brings also yeah, inspiration to you. I'm just wondering if there is anything you would like particularly to emphasize.
I think for me, it's interesting. I tend to take inspiration from the world around me, and not so much, although I love going to museums and I love both kind of looking at classical art or contemporary art and everything in between. When I myself, I draw and paint most of all. And when I do, I tend to go straight to the source. And it's interesting that at the start, that used to be a lot humans. I used to do a lot of portraits. And it's become more and more the natural world. And as I go into these questions, it's also become more and more abstract patterns that you can see in the natural world rather than any direct copies. Also, because I trained for a while in a lab to make actual kind of the scientific drawings of cells and of plants under microscope and preparations and things like this. So I very much learned, I think, to use your eye and your hand to pay attention rather than only to it's also about the method of reinforcing the looking itself, the sensing itself. And that's how I use it most of all now, rather than as something to create an end product.
Well, thanks for sharing this, and I think it's then maybe also linked of that exploring aspect and the process in its own. I thank you for joining, and I will just remind our audience that today's guest was Benjamin Lewin, and we see you at the coast. Thank you.
Thank you so much.